Good morning, Renee. It's great to see you again.
Good afternoon, Mahia. It's so good to see you. You've got your glasses today. Very
I have my
good.
glasses on. No, I need to clean them
Now
up.
you
I
can see.
don't know.
Well, it's been an exciting week for you. I cannot wait for the viewers that are joining us today. This is Beyond the Badge. And before we
Mhm.
start into the episode, Magic and I like to catch up really quick so that the viewers can also know what we've been up to. And one of the things that Magic has been up to is a very exciting program with one of the universities in Europe. I'm going to let him tell you all about it because it is tied to Beyond the Badge in that. As you get beyond the badge, you're going to encounter a lot of transformational opportunities, and this is one of those things that's happening for Magic, which is very exciting. So, Magic,
It's
tell us a
it's
little bit.
absolutely fantastic. Like we are launching. It's one of those. We will have one episode on this, guys. We promise that we will
Yes.
talk to you about today. Today we're gonna talk about some other stuff, but we will talk to you also about how we were redefining ourselves and finding the new paths. And
Mhm.
today I can tell we have just launched one of my one of the things that I really wanted to do, which is a postgraduate course
Mhm.
for the CEOs of the IT companies in Poland
Mhm.
to learn how to transform their companies from the transactional business to the managed services business. Um, it's a postgraduate study, and I went 2 days ago. I went to the university. It's called the school is Koźmiński University, which is one of the best business schools with a executive business education in Central and Eastern Europe, and they have a fabulous campus and a lot of interesting courses. And one of the courses will be academy business as a service academy. That's I hope a lot of people in Poland will sign up for, and then I'll bring it to other geographies, other places. It's one of the great things that you get to do when you can really choose when you want to do, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So, this is very exciting, and we hope that you guys stay tuned for that. It's going to be um, very enlightening, I would say. Yes.
Because today we wanted to talk about the grief relief, like the emotions
Mhm.
when processing the exit,
Yeah.
um, and uh, and uh, and I think, Renee, like I was thinking about this a lot, thinking about, and maybe today we should talk about my journey a
Mhm.
little bit. I was thinking about this and grief relief. I was searching for in my soul, going back in my mind those 2 years back, trying to understand what was happening to me. And I was searching for those different emotions. And what I've done is I prepared like a short
Sorry.
overview,
Oh, sorry. Ah,
a
apologies.
short overview of my journey. Okay, how I stepped through the whole situation, how I was kind of moving from step to step. And I will start with, and what I would like your help and the viewers' help with is
Mhm.
I'm not sure which I can find in my journey relief,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure that I felt much of a grief,
Mhm.
or maybe it's one of those emotions that I'm suppressing when
It
now
could be.
thinking back in the in to the days that the whole kind of a discussions were happening. So, guys, the journey. I think we need to go even further back. There was a moment in my job when I felt already that things are not going my way. There were certain milestones, certain signs, certain things that were telling me that there is going to be a problem, that I'm not a good um, I'm not well aligned with the organization on the direction that I want to take. I had my ideas, I had my strategies, and obviously the company was going a different direction, not in a small way, in a big way, in a strategic way, basically shifting away from the SMB space with regular cutbacks and reductions. But I was refusing to give up, and there was this kind of a stubborn loyalty, quiet desperation, pushing forward against all the odds. I remember the final straw was when uh, when I decided to launch something called SMB Experience at HP Discover, which was a big kind of an event within an event, and we really wanted to make it a big success. And I had an approval from my boss. I've organized funding for it and everything. And then, my boss left, and there was a new management team, and they started to question everything that was going on in the organization that I was leading, without providing much of a clarity. What are the other options,
Mhm.
which I found really strange. And despite that, I still was pushing forward with the programs and ideas that I originally committed to, because I really wanted to deliver. I was kind of focused on the deliverables, on making sure that I do what I promised to do, that I, like that I'm going to go after the goals, uh, and I'm going to kind of work out the programs that I was working on for a couple of months already. But there were clear signs that there is a problem. And after the HP Discover, when I came back at a short break, you know, things started to move really, really fast. I got this invitation to a meeting, which was a little bit out of the blue, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Typical story. Um, I've seen this meeting in my calendar. I knew it's coming. Uh, I felt obviously a tension, resistance, kind of a denial mixed with a dread. Maybe this is not the meeting. Maybe it is the meeting. I felt this. I was thinking about writing to
Mhm.
an HR, trying to figure out what's going on. But then I decided that I'm going to just face the discussion. We'll see what happens. And I'm not going to go into the details of the conversation, because it was not a very professional conversation. But that created a lot of disorientation, frustration, and disbelief. But I want to say, Renee, that this conversation, the disbelief, frustration, and disorientation was more about the way that the process was kicked
Mhm.
off.
Mhm.
The way the conversation went was just my my kind of an anger, and my disbelief was about, there are certain we were, for so many years we were told about certain values, certain, way of dealing with people and respecting people,
Mhm.
and suddenly everything went upside down. And I think that was my biggest problem. Okay, not with the fact that we have a disconnect on the strategic direction. That happens. It's just a normal thing. You can work this out. But it was just the way that the whole situation was handled that was really disturbing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too clinical for people, right? But there is I'm going to give you a resource immediately. It's called grief.com. And Magic and I intentionally don't rehearse these, because I told you we like to be very much in the moment and very genuine with it. So I don't have the slide to show you. The stages of grief are actually 5 stages. And so Magic, according to grief.com, right? Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And when I look at your journey, and I know you didn't look this up for all this process, right? You prepared this from your heart, really evaluating and reflecting kind of what you went through and what you were feeling. But what's interesting is, if we were to overlay that, the stages of grief, they're all here, right? And what I will say to people is, we agreed early on this call. We just told you I'll do something like this as well for the next session. Um, but it is something that's going to be different for every single person. And as you double click into these stages, like I love how Magic put in bullets kind of the words that describe the different feelings, because it looks different for everyone. And he jokingly said a little bit ago, maybe he's still in some form of denial, maybe, right? Maybe. But what's interesting, you said something, right, that is not necessarily, it wasn't necessarily the intellectual, you weren't grieving the intellectual disconnect in terms of strategy. um and i
or the
and I heard
job, to be
for the
honest,
job, exactly,
and
exactly.
I loved my job. There's
Yes.
no doubt about it, and I really, kind of and I love the team that I worked with, and my employees. If you are my ex-employees, if you're watching this,
Hmm.
still you have a, in my heart, you have a big space. Okay,
Hmm.
there's no doubt about it. It's just that, like, we were brought up
Hmm.
in the company, in the corporation, in a certain, kind of a respect and a rigor and a certain values.
Right.
Maybe
Right.
what I was grieving is the fact that suddenly, all those values were just kicked down the drain.
Bingo. And that's exactly where I was going to go, that you said something very pivotal, that your disappointment was really more about how it was handled. Because one of the things that happens when you put on the badge and when you live the company purpose and values is they become part of you. And when you read in this, and by the way, we ran large organizations, so we had to also communicate this to our organizations and to our partners and so forth. And after a time, right, you really believe it. At least I know
The-
for you and I, it was true, and we would have treated our people the way we would have wanted to be treated. And when there's a person that doesn't align to that, we
in, your,
do it's
in the senior management, right?
yes, correct, correct,
In the
correct.
senior management, because the challenge was, I still believe in those values, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Those
Uh-huh.
are very universal. Treat people with respect.
Yeah.
Be truthful about what you say.
Yeah.
Talk about, like, even if there is a difficult message to be said, you say it with respect, and
Mhm.
you just don't sugarcoat. You
Mhm.
kind of say as it is, and then do
Mhm.
what you say.
Mhm.
Uh, not don't go away from this path. So,
Mhm.
and this is maybe connected, Renee, to the discussion that we had, like, maybe a week ago,
Mhm.
when I still believe, like, how your boss is going to be handling,
Yeah.
the situation
Right.
is going to be critical,
Mhm.
for the way, for how quickly you can recover, probably, and how much you can, uh, you can process this difficult, it's difficult situation for everyone, and again, I don't think, it was easier for me than for others. It was just difficult situation, but it was made way more difficult than it should have been, to
Yeah.
be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
WFRs, I was on the WFR list at least 3 times in my
Mhm.
25 years career,
Yeah.
and there was always a difficult situation, and it happens, many times, not because that I was part of the organizations that were completely, you know eliminated.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And I still found another solution, because I had the support of my boss, and this time
Mhm.
around, there was just a complete, yeah, disaster.
Yeah.
Anyway, after the
Yeah.
conversation, I
Mhm.
think, and this is where I think there was a period, and when I was, like, going through a little bit of up and downs.
Mhm.
There were moments that I was angry. That pretty much went away. This kind of a anger, resentment.
Mhm.
Somehow it was less and less, because I got a lot of support frankly saying, from my family, from my wife,
Hmm.
uh, also from friends,
Yeah.
also from my team
Hmm.
at HP. There were people calling me with, kind of a good message and everything. So that was really, really very, very positive. Mm, and I think, there was this moment in the first part of my journey when I started to see the mental shift. I started to think in a different way.
Hmm.
Um, I remember a conversation, one of the conversations when I was talking about, what's happening, what's going on, and it was a conversation about how should I prepare for any, future job interviews or whatever. And I
Yeah.
started to talk about, like my career and how this whole conversation ended. And this person has told me, Magic, just don't focus on this.
Hmm.
Don't think about this anymore. It doesn't matter. And
Hmm.
it was a very important element in the conversation. The first time I've heard this message was, it does not matter
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Stop thinking about it. And this was this kind of this first mental shift when I started to think that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there will, and we don't know, many of you, where you are in your journey, right? But there will come a time where you will. It's in the past. It's in the past. You can't change it. Um, and once you reach that stage of it's in the past, I can't change. Now, again, here we are talking to you 2 years after, and we are looking at the past, but we're looking at the past with a different intention, not with regret of let's change it. We're trying to learn from it, and you will get there. If you're not already there, you will get there. Um, but it is an important step in the process to get to that place. And it's okay to allow yourself those waves of anger, frustration, disbelief. I mean, honestly, how many family, you mentioned your wife and the support from your family and your friends, right? And how many times did you not miss events or maybe rush out of a birthday or some family celebration, or, because the company was so much. And you always tell yourself, okay, well, I'm doing this for them. I'm doing this for my family. um, but you miss out as a person in this industry. You miss, and I would say in a lot of other industries, you miss out on a lot of personal events and personal things. So one of the things that this process hopefully teaches you, and I think it's uh, certainly taught me, I won't speak for Magic, but is I learned about my priorities and the people that were going to be there for me, really there for me when things were difficult.
No,
Okay, so Magic, you're in the ups
I
and
always say,
downs.
Renee,
Mhm.
and I was always of this opinion, and I hope that, my employees my ex-employees could support that statement. uh, I was always of an opinion that, you need to pay attention to your private life,
Yeah.
and I was
Mhm.
insisting on that as well,
Mhm.
because I think people have to stand on at least two legs.
Yeah.
Okay, and one leg is your job, and the other leg is your family. You can
Mhm.
have other legs. You can have a leg which is your hobby,
Yeah.
external activities, but at least two. It's a minimum. Okay, if you if you don't have a wife, or spouse, or husband,
Partner.
uh,
Mhm.
partner, right?
Mhm.
Maybe it's a hobby, it's a sport, maybe it's something, like. But you need to have something beyond
Yeah.
your job. Otherwise, you only have one leg, and the uh, you're not going to be very stable if one of the legs just falls off. And I think there was an important element of this whole journey was the fantastic support that I got, especially from my wife,
Mhm.
who's been an angel for me in those
Mhm.
days. And I'm always very thankful to her.
Mhm. Yes.
But at certain point in time, seriously, it became After this conversation, I remember when this lady said to me, "It doesn't matter." It was so it was
Yeah.
so interesting moment, okay,
Mhm.
uh, in my journey, because I realized that it really does not matter.
Uh-huh.
This whole kind of part one of my journey.
Yeah.
I just need to put it behind me and just move on to the uh,
Let it go. Yeah. Let it go.
to let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is where this journey part two started,
Mhm.
which was then it was discussion about the new goal. So then I started to think about what do I want to do.
Yes. For those following along, this is after stage 5, after you've reached acceptance, if you're trying to match it to the stages of grief. Okay, Magic. So you're in new goals.
So and that was really cool, because then I started to. I mean, I'm an action oriented person. Okay,
Mhm.
so strategy and execution. Okay, so I started to think, what are the steps that I should be taking. And I think, we can go back very quickly to my YouTube channel and see very
Yeah.
quickly. I just shut down all the conversation about my previous employer and started to talk about other topics
Mhm.
that were interesting for me.
Mhm.
And the same happened uh, on the uh, on the LinkedIn side. I started to invest. I was extremely lucky, actually, because that was the moment when artificial intelligence started to
Yeah.
ChatGPT showed up. Okay,
Yeah.
so I have spent so much time. I had a lot of time because I was still on the kind of a non-disclosure. Don't talk about this.
Mhm.
I couldn't talk about my exit.
Mhm.
I was forbidden from
Yeah.
talking about the fact that I no longer have the job. I was supposed to just pretend that, just not talk about it. It's like I couldn't
Yeah.
even pretend or not pretend. I just had to keep it, quiet.
That's so
And
that and we can maybe dive into this later, but I think that is one thing. If any company person that is in any position of power to change this, this is the one thing I would recommend for any company is this is the worst thing you can do for the employee and also for the company in general, right? This denial of and I understand that it's because people don't want to maybe have other people focus on this or whatever, but this is such a mistake, I think, that the employer makes because, like you, right, in my case, they didn't want to send an organizational announcement. They didn't even want to let me send a goodbye. And I was like, what are you talking? Like, I've been here 28 years. I am absolutely sending a goodbye email. Right?
no, but
Um,
that was a part of my disbelief in how the exit was
uh-huh.
handled.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
because I really hope, and I keep my fingers crossed for all of you guys. And it also applies to my previous employer.
Mhm.
This is not the standard. The standard is typically, your boss should be handling your exit in a professional way.
With
You should be able
grace
to
and dignity.
say goodbye to
Yes.
people, send
Yes.
a thank you
Yeah.
note, and
Yes.
and, and
Thank you.
also
Yeah.
go out and tell people externally
Correct.
that you are out for a new. And you can see it on LinkedIn. There are a lot of people that are open to work
Yeah.
instantaneously after they've been notified.
Hmm.
I just couldn't do that. I
Right.
just couldn't do
Correct.
that.
Yeah.
I had to kind of pretend that nothing has happened, but
Hmm.
still, take as many, moves as or steps as I could
Yeah.
without kind of triggering any major another kind of a big discussion internally.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, and but I started to think about the next steps, and that was very refreshing.
Hmm.
Once you put in your mind it doesn't matter and
Right.
focus on future, that's a very important element. And it's a
Hmm.
very difficult moment to make the switch, but there will be another word or another conversation, another thing that will trigger that moment for you when you will
Yeah.
understand that it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. I always ask my coaching clients, what's the one word that I can use to bring you back? Right. And so in your case, or to break a cycle. And in this case
Mhm.
for you is it doesn't matter, right? It's a phrase. And um, so, yeah.
And I think it was great. Then it happened to me that the kind of a next step in the journey was when there was a public leak of the
Mm.
information that I'm no longer with the company,
Mhm.
and not initiated by me, but again,
Yeah.
by a miscommunication to the market, to the
Yeah.
press. There was this wonderful article on CRN about my departure, uh, and suddenly there was no longer a secret. Okay,
Mhm.
so I could
Mhm.
again uh, take an even further move,
Mhm.
and not only think about new ideas, but actually start putting them into
Action.
life,
Mhm.
into action, and execute. And that's the moment when you are actually really feeling free, because there's
Mhm.
nothing that is tying you back. And we spoke about, like, what's the previous episodes about, what to do. There's a list of things that you should be doing before the exit, and after you leave. Uh, but the other thing is this kind of a mindset, this relief, this mindset change, when you suddenly start thinking about the things that you can do
Mhm.
going forward that maybe you were not able to do,
Mhm.
uh, because there were certain regulations, or you didn't have time, or uh, I don't know, you were just not empowered to do.
Well, and I think for you, right, Magic, for me as well, this doesn't happen at every level, but there, you get to a level that you belong to the company. So you are not allowed to express certain opinions or say certain things. So there's a little bit of you get managed very tightly by the marketing teams or the media teams, and you have certain ideas or opinions or things that you want to voice or explore, and you can't because you are not free to do so. You are viewed very much as an agent of the company and a representation of the company. So this I am free, for you and for me, I think was more than just the psychological, right? But now it's freedom in different in more ways than one, and it's very empowering. And we did cover last episode how you take back your digital persona, but also your brand, and it comes in a lot of ways. Whether it's now you can really write a blog or an article with your real thoughts about something, or with your full, without having to go through all the filters and the hygiene. Um, so, and I know you went through some good amount of that, Magic, where people would tell you, "Don't do this, don't do that, don't share this." And
Oh,
there's
of
the
course.
famous
No,
surfboard. There,
there's some good reasons for that.
yes,
Like,
yeah,
you are being looked at as a
hmm
the executive officer of the company, right?
hmm hmm
You have to speak
yeah,
things, and you need to keep your mouth shut about things.
yeah.
And I did understand that.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
uh, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
But it's also, things that you cannot do. I remember,
Mhm.
I remember my boss questioning what I can do volunteering. Okay.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Which I found very, very bizarre. And I went, and I had a conversation with HR, and it
Mhm,
was approved at the end of the day. But there was
mhm.
like little things like that.
Yeah.
At a certain point in time, uh, I, I no longer had a boss to tell me, what I can and cannot do,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
which has advantages and disadvantages. We'll talk about this, in
Yes.
our future episodes. But
Yes.
just for today, maybe focus, guys, on the fact that for me it was important to know that it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Mhm,
matter how your
mhm,
conversation went, what
mhm.
happened behind on this one call. Also, it doesn't matter whether you left on your own or you've been asked to leave,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I've seen a number of people that were trying to convince me that they left on their own,
Yeah.
by their own choice, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if the
Yeah.
choice was your choice, or you took a package, or they gave you a package. Nobody, at the end of the day, nobody's going to pay
Yeah.
attention to that, because nobody really knows the truth. Okay,
Yeah.
except for maybe your boss and your organization. You might think that you took a package because you were free to do so, but maybe if you didn't do that, you would be pushed out, and it was just better to communicate that you took a package
Yeah.
than you were let go. So it's a this is something that I wouldn't pay too much attention to, how
Mhm.
your exit happened. Okay,
Yep.
I would pay attention to what are the next steps, what
Mhm.
are the things that you should be doing, and what are the things that you really like to do, and test them out. You have a
Mhm.
freedom to do that. You have a freedom to test various things, meet a lot of people, go to the, I mean, again, we had this conversation before, so look it up in our previous
Yeah.
episodes, what to do after you've left, after you've been made free.
Well,
after
and
you've
that's how this episode is very different from the other ones, right? If you're paying delicate attention or even just listening in, right? What you're seeing in those slides and in our words, it's really about the emotions rather
been,
than what in our previous episode we really went through the tactical steps, right? And but we're sentient beings. That's what's in the word sentient. So we feel everything. And that's important. That's very important. And sometimes we try to get ourselves very busy because we don't want to feel, or we self-medicate with either alcohol or a distraction, or we go out and spend ridiculous amounts of money on something that we totally didn't need. Right? um and so it's those are coping mechanisms, sometimes healthy, sometimes unhealthy, that don't necessarily really contribute, because all you're trying to do is distract yourself from feeling the feelings, and the feelings are going to come no matter what you do.
so that was my journey, guys. If you think, I I I still
Go back
going
to the
back
bubble, though. We didn't talk about the last bubble. To go
the
back,
free,
yeah, I mean, you talked about the freedom, but because I don't want to leave our viewers kind of hanging. We didn't spend a lot of time on the forward strategy around the curiosity, the drive, the focus. I mean, because these are now feelings that are more positive, right? This is what you will see in this slide versus the other slide. The other slide was a little bit more of that, the anger, the ups and downs. But this is much more about, okay, shifting that focus into that curiosity and that drive, and the exploration of what tomorrow is, the excitement of what's new. So talk a little bit, Magic, about that excitement around whether it's your journey to B2SMB, or the excitement of founding yourself in the MSP community. Talk a little bit about that.
what I want to say, because probably the journey of the strategy forward is a long separate episode. But one thing that I want to say about both slides is the slide number one was way shorter than a
Mm,
slide number two
mhm,
for me.
mhm,
Okay, so the moment that I knew that something is off was probably long. It was probably a few months. Then the conversation and the anger and the shock of the way that the conversation was handled is kind of a short period of time. It was a very short period of time.
mhm,
I think it was way longer. What was really the the moment I was told it doesn't matter. I think at this point in time, the real journey, the real kind of a weeks and months of the thinking started. And in my case, again, it was extended mainly because of the gardening leave,
yeah.
not because I didn't know what I want to do,
Mhm,
or I didn't know what I want to do. I wanted to test a lot of things that I couldn't. Maybe
mhm,
maybe let me put it this way: until the public leak, until the
mhm,
moment that I basically logged off completely uh, from the system.
mhm,
But it was it, it was a much longer and more interesting and rewarding
Yeah.
time than the first maybe couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, until the moment I realized that it doesn't matter.
Mhm. Yeah. Whew. Well, thank you for sharing that. Um, I know it's not easy to share the feelings, right? But thank you for being vulnerable for our audience, and I know it'll help many people that find themselves in this situation. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Renee. So next week we'll talk about your journey, and then we'll
Yeah,
start moving into the next steps of the last 2 years, which is going to be very interesting for everyone. If you
yeah. I
guys
hope.
did like it,
Yeah,
if you thought that the stuff that we are sharing is interesting, please let us know.
yeah.
DM Renee, myself.
Yes, like, share, subscribe, share on LinkedIn, share on YouTube, share on WhatsApp, share with your friends. You never know, what's going to help someone.
Yes.
And we don't have sponsors. We don't get paid to do this. We are really doing it because we truly believe that it'll add value to somebody somewhere. It's been really nice to hear from so many people. I appreciate that. Keep that coming, and send us questions. We haven't gotten as many questions. I did get one request. We'll add that magic at some point. But I did hear from someone who was actually had to let go of a large group of people in the double digits, all in a short period of time. And the person reached out trying to, hey, could you guys cover what's on the other side? Right. Or when you're the person sitting on the other side. I know I've had to do it. I know you've had to do it. And we can certainly talk about that. But I think that's a whole new series, or certainly a couple of different episodes.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that. So thank you, Magic, again. Thank you, everyone, for your time and attention. And we'll see you next week, hopefully.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.